Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. National Security Minister seeks to clarify controversial shoot-to-kill comments. More calls for Sydney Stewart to resign as chairman of the Stanton Municipal Corporation. And later in sports, Sunshine Girls lose first test match to New Zealand's Silver Ferns. I'm Shane Masters and here are the details. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang has sought to clarify his statements on the shoot-to-kill comments directed to members of the security force when they engage criminals in a gunfight. During a post-cabinet press briefing this morning, the Deputy Prime Minister, who has been receiving mixed reactions, says the comments were taken out of context.
I never said any instruction. There's no policy or instruction of shoot to kill. I think it was quite clear indicated that after giving a good outline of the changes in the police force and the fact that extrajudicial killing is not a part of our culture at all at this stage, not only by virtue of oversight from INDECOM, but the professional standards branch of the force. If they are attacked by brutal gunmen, they must fire back. That's the term I use, which means return fire. And I went on to say I'm entreating the commissioner to train them well. They should not miss, because if they miss, they die.
And as it relates to his comments regarding denying criminals access to emergency response vehicles, such as ambulances, the national minister did not deny it. However, he did say it's a harsh reality that the healthcare system is being burdened with gunshot victims, several of them being criminals.
The settled policy on dealing with anyone injured in a police operation is that the police vehicles, which are emergency vehicles, take them to a hospital. And that has been going on. If there was a comment about the cost of it, yes, nobody likes the idea that when you're waiting in a hospital, in an emergency area, that the surgeons will occupy it for 3-4 hours saving a criminal, but they do. And I indicated clearly one of the challenges I have is that when the police take criminals to hospital and save their lives.
There is still no clarification from the government regarding the questionable appointment of Lieutenant General Rocky Meade to the Cabinet Secretary post and General Meade turning it down a few days later. There have been mounting questions about the legal advice, if any, that guided the appointment. However, the Information Minister seems just as lost for answers on the matter. I cannot answer, the repeated statement from Information Minister Robert Morgan, as numerous questions were posed to him Wednesday morning regarding the appointment of and subsequent decline by Lieutenant General Rocky Meade for the post of Cabinet Secretary. On September 13, a statement from the Office of the Prime Minister said that General Meade had been appointed, but 2 days later, he declined the post, saying, quote, "The current public discourse does not provide a sufficiently settled environment for him to assume the office," end quote. Now, a number of constitutional lawyers have said that the appointment would have breached Section 92, subsection 1 of the Constitution. At this morning's briefing, Mr. Morgan was questioned as to whether the Attorney General was consulted in the appointment of General Meade.
I cannot answer a question like that because it's not the remit of myself to engage in the process of the appointment or be connected to the appointment of the Cabinet Secretary. That is the Public Service Commission through the Office of the Governor General. So I would not be able to participate in that conversation.
The media, however, was determined to get a response, but the minister himself was steadfast in his position.
There is no outstanding issue to be dealt with. The media is free to do their investigations and ask questions, but based on what I have seen in the public domain, I don't see any other issues. There were issues raised. The gentleman withdrew his position from the position or the offer of the position, and it's now the government's and the government system's obligation to engage in a process to appoint a cabinet secretary. I cannot go beyond that curtain.
As to whether a timeline was given to appoint another cabinet secretary, Mr. Morgan offered this response.
You're asking me questions, Jamila, that are outside of my
remit. Be aware of a timeline.
No. You see, we have to be very careful how we interfere in constituted authorities, there is a constituted authority appointed by the Governor General that has awesome power in making these determinations. They would not indicate it to me or the cabinet. They wouldn't. That has never been the tradition.
The St. Mary Police are investigating the alleged rape of a grade 10 student at the Orekabasa High School in the parish. The incident reportedly happened on the afternoon shift on Monday. Acting school principal Donovan Thomas says he was not able to say much on the incident, but confirmed that the incident was reported. In the meantime, Councillor for the Orekabasa Division, Sheldon Kidd, has condemned the incident.
For a rape to take place in a school, it is unprecedented, and I want to condemn this cruel and gruesome act that has taken place at the Orekabasa High School. It was unfortunate. One would not know that our moral fiber would have been deteriorated to the extent where a rape would have taken place in a school. We would have thought that schools were safe zones and people would have respected same.
Councillors in the Stanton Municipal Corporation are demanding answers regarding the corporation's finances. They're asking where all the money is going, as they say it's not being put into the maintenance of the municipality. They are calling for the chairman to resign.
Some councillors of the Stanton Municipal Corporation gathered today calling for the resignation of the chairman, Councillor Sidney Stewart. Minority Leader Winston Brown says he is disappointed with how the council is being run. He described it as a lack of leadership.
We cannot have a parish and a simple thing asked of the council. Even to truck a load of water, you can't truck it sometimes in your division. And when you check records, the money has been spent in the mayor's division.
It's reported that a number of state entities had their electricity disconnected because of outstanding amounts on their bills.
I am so embarrassed to know that I'm a part of the municipal corporation, and we could reach that state that we cannot pay our light bill. And when the mayor can spend from property tax, as my colleague Councillor Bell said, approximately $24 million in his division. What do we think about the people in the parish? What is our priority? Are we doing it for self-interest?
The councillors say they are concerned with the expenditure of the corporation following a stark discovery in financial documents they requested.
Within his division alone, in 1 year, he would have spent $24.5 million in his division alone from property tax. For the other 15 divisions within the corporation, with all the allocations made to those divisions, add them all up, it does not come up to $24.5 million together.
The councillors say they are planning to take further action for his removal, but Mr. Stewart has since clapped back.
I'm aware that there's an outstanding bill with JPS and they were discussing a payment plan. I think the administrator was discussing a payment plan to see how we could work it out. And the municipality really wasn't in a position and still not in a position to pay that sum of money all at one time. So a payment plan was being discussed. If I arrive at a meeting early, they ask me to resign. If I arrive late, they ask me to resign. If I smile in the meeting, they ask me to resign. If I don't smile, they ask me to resign. So it is just the debut of 2 of the 5 PNP. That's all they talk about. While they are discussing sensitive matter, they have no interest in that. What they are talking about is resignation. So they seek to find every avenue that they think can trap me into resigning.
Codian Barrett, TVJ News.
The funeral service for veteran broadcaster Francois Saint-Just will be held at the St. Peter and Paul Church in St. Andrew today at 2 p.m. Now, Francois passed away on August 29 at the University Hospital of the West Indies after battling an illness for some time. For those wishing to view the service, it will be carried live on onespotmedia.com, on Jamaica News Network, on Flow Channels 103 or 114, or on JNN's YouTube channel. And it's now time for the Business Minute. Here's Cody and Barrett.
A preferred bidder has been selected to purchase Ocho Rios-based attraction Mystic Mountain, the main asset of the bankrupt Mystic Mountain Limited MML. However, while receiver Wilfred Bangaloo of accounting and tax advisory firm PricewaterhouseCoopers says final negotiations are advanced for the conclusion of a sale agreement, court action filed by MML's owners, Caribou K Limited, threatens to derail the sale. While Mr. Bangaloo declined to name the preferred bidder, he said the selection was made known on July 15. In business internationally, Gap is slashing 500 corporate jobs in San Francisco and New York as it looks to reduce expenses amid languishing sales. The pandemic and surging supply chain costs have exerted even more of a financial toll on the retailer. According to its latest annual report, as of January 29, the company had a workforce of roughly 97,000 employees with roughly 8,700 working in corporate sites. That's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
The Business Minute, brought to you by
Business Smarter with Smart Mobile Solutions, Jamaica's one-stop shop for the best mobile technology services.
And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's health report.
In this evening's health report, we look at menopause.
Now, why is this happening? When we're born with a certain amount of eggs. And those eggs that develop each month produce the hormones that as women make us feel feminine, so estrogen and progesterone. As we use up those eggs, then gradually we get to a point where the egg number starts to decline. And as they decline, then naturally that means that our estrogen and progesterone levels start to fall. So it's when we get to that stage where the egg count is now so low that our estrogen and progesterone levels have started to decline that you start to feel these symptoms and you start to recognize that the menses are now irregular until they stop.
That's the health report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's healthy living tip. Eat a healthy diet, low in fat, high in fiber, with plenty of fruits, vegetables, and whole grain foods. Make sure you get enough calcium and vitamin D. Do weight-bearing exercise, such as climbing stairs or dancing, at least 3 days each week for healthy bones. And if you smoke, quit.
And it's now time for our regional and international stories. Again, we go to Cody and Barrett.
The region, a strengthening Hurricane Fiona is moving away from the Turks and Caicos Islands. The storm is expected to approach Bermuda late on Thursday after leaving a trail of death and destruction in the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and the Turks and Caicos. The Miami-based National Hurricane Center, NHC, says Fiona has strengthened to become a Category 4 storm, packing maximum sustained winds of 130 miles per hour and was about 720 miles southwest of Bermuda. At least 4 people were reported killed in the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico as the hurricane moved across the Lesser Antilles. On the international scene, the National Transportation Safety Board in the U.S. is proposing that all new vehicles should include drunk driving detectors. The board pushed for the new safety measure on Tuesday. It would require all new vehicles to include technology that can detect if drivers have been drinking alcohol or are otherwise impaired. The board also wants new vehicles to have speed-related technology it says could help prevent tens of thousands of fatalities. However, there's no word from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration about how the measure is progressing. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Shane Masters. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, have a good afternoon.